I, 30, female, have been married to my husband, 33, male, for about 1.5 years. We've been together for 6 years in total. Our dating life was not smooth at all because of my mother-in-law. Before our wedding, my mother-in-law made it very clear that she did not approve of me or our relationship. In mother-in-law's eyes, I was not at all good enough for her son. Why, you may wonder? And the answer to that is, I don't know. Mother-in-law never said clearly what she did not like about me, though. It was strange. It was like I was going into a battle with no idea how to win because I did not know what I was fighting in the first place. She hated that we were together and tried to break us up several times. She went as far as to tell my husband that I was cheating on him, that she saw me with someone else at the mall, but obviously my husband did not believe her as none of her stories had any solid proof. That is why our relationship lasted for as long as it did, and we eventually got married. Every time I told him how uncomfortable his mother's behavior made me feel, my husband insisted that I should excuse her behavior because she has anxiety and she just gets a little too overprotective and overwhelmed. I should be kind and understanding towards her as I am a psych major. This happened when we were in our third year. For the next 2 years, I tried to be as understanding towards mother-in-law, as sweet to her as I could, which led to her starting to be more passive-aggressive towards me, instead of being openly hostile with me the way she was before. Due to her jabs being more passive-aggressive than openly hostile now, my husband refused to believe that she was still being rude to me. In his eyes, the last time she was openly rude to me was when she lied about me cheating on him. It was a little hopeless for me. Sometimes I felt like I was making a huge mistake by saying yes to my husband because his refusal to believe me was a red flag that I was blissfully ignoring, which is something that I should not be doing. But I chalked it up to being anxious. Recently, about a month ago, I had my birthday. I decided to have something small and personal for my celebration, and I only invited close friends. My in-laws decided to come as my husband invited them. I was not too keen on having mother-in-law over, but by the time I learned he had invited them, it was too late. I only wanted my friends to be there, but here was my mother-in-law, the one person I did not want to deal with. I was friendly with her and I greeted her. I wanted nothing to do with her, but I wanted to be polite. About 4 months before my birthday, I noticed severe pain during my menstruation and noticed how bloated I looked. When I stood on the scale, I noticed I had gained quite a bit of weight, even though there was seemingly no changes in my lifestyle. Understandably, I was worried and had a health checkup. I found out I had PCOD. The doctor put me on medicines and told me to take care of my diet and that I should see myself losing weight. But despite following all of his guidance and going to a dietitian for a newer diet, I was not seeing that much change in my weight. My body dimensions were slowly changing, but the weight scale was remaining the same, and that was affecting the way I was viewing myself a lot. That was when I saw this viral dress on TikTok. It was a skin-fit maxi dress that accentuated the curves a lot while also being flattering on every body type. I was scared of ordering it, but I wanted to take a chance, so I did. When I wore the dress, I felt so pretty. I was crying. I had not felt that pretty in a hot minute since my diagnosis, and honestly, it made me feel a lot more comfortable with my body shape and structure. So I decided to wear that dress for my birthday. All of my friends who came over decided to make it a point to compliment my body as they knew about my struggles with it, and I felt very pretty and confident. But I stopped feeling pretty in my dress the moment mother-in-law came in. The way her eyes scanned me up and down with that predominant look of disgust on her face affected me. I tried to not let it show, but in my head, I was scared she was going to comment on my weight or the way the dress looked on my body. And comment is something she did. It was right after I cut the birthday cake. I cut the cake and I was giving everyone a piece. My best friend had made my favorite cake, chocolate sponge cake with butterscotch cream coated in chocolate ganache. And I wanted to have a decent slice. The moment I dug in my fork in the cake, my mother-in-law piped up with, "Are you going to eat that?" When I asked her what she meant, she said, "That is not the right proportion for your body type. Here, let me help." She took about 75% of the cake off my plate. I smiled and thanked her for caring about me while politely pointing out that I wanted to feel a little satiated as I had breakfast a couple of hours ago and lunch would be served another 3 hours later. That is when my mother-in-law decided to show me her gift. It was an all-natural herbal tea and pills that would make you feel satiated so that you do not feel hungry enough. She smiled and told me that as I do not know what self-control is and stuff my mouth, this would be of help. To say I was offended would be an understatement. I tried to calm myself down. I tried to not get into an argument, but I could not help it. Before I realized what I was doing, I was going off on her. I told her that she has no right to comment on my weight when she does not know anything about my medical history. I am not even obese, and I have been working out. It is my birthday, and I am allowed to enjoy myself on my birthday. She looked a little too stunned to speak. When she finally gained her composure and wanted to fire back, I told her that it would be better if she left. She asked me if I was being serious, and I said I was. I told her that I did not invite her and that my wishes were not respected when she was invited. Mother-in-law was not happy. She asked my husband if he was going to watch me treat her like that, and before he could answer, I told her that this was not on him. This was on me, and I want her to leave. She left begrudgingly, and after a while my friends succeeded in cheering me up, so I was back in the mood to enjoy their company and the cake. But my husband was not happy at all. Once my friends had left, we sat down for a chat. He asked me why I thought it was appropriate to kick his mother out of the house while he was there. I explained that it was not okay how she was fat-shaming me without knowing about my PCOD. My husband looked annoyed. He said that I should not use my PCOD as a way to mask my gluttony, and I should instead work on my attitude. In his eyes, I was out of line and very rude to his mother, which is something he did not appreciate at all. I told him that I'm not apologizing for being belittled in my own house, and I am not okay with him behaving this way. My husband refused to understand my side and left the house that night. He said he was not going to come home until I apologized, and if I want him, I should show up at his parents' house and apologize to them because that was where he would be. When he said he was leaving, it upset me. After waiting for 3 days for him to come home, I showed up at their place, and in my moment of weakness, I told my husband that I will file for divorce because I cannot do this relationship anymore. I do not want to be a doormat for his mother to trample over, and it is not fair to me that he is taking me for granted the way he is. My husband was too stunned to say anything. Mother-in-law, on the other hand, was extremely happy with what I said and was already telling my husband that this is the best thing I could have done for him. I came home with a broken heart that night. It's been about 2 weeks since that day, and now that I have had time to think about everything, I do not want him to go. I want my husband because I love him. I feel like I was oversensitive when I told him about the separation, and I want to work on our relationship. Any advice on how I can do that would be very appreciated. Update 1. Hey everyone. Thank you all for your advice. I appreciate you guys a lot. I have gone through every one of them, and I am planning on doing what you guys suggested. I'll go speak with my husband. I'll update you guys accordingly. Update 2. Hi. Thank you so much to everyone who waited for this update. I finally spoke with my husband. I went over to my mother-in-law's house and decided to have a face-to-face conversation with him. I knew when he would be home from work and decided to show up at that time. Mother-in-law tried her best to make excuses about my husband not being home, but my husband heard the commotion and came to meet me. We went on a walk and we had a much-needed heart-to-heart. My husband and I both don't want to leave each other. We both want to work on our relationship. My husband also apologized to me for not believing me when I told him about mother-in-law's passive-aggressive comments, because when he lived with her for the past 3 weeks, she made it evident how she felt about me. He felt really bad for not believing me in the first place and told me he would do better. He also told me that he should not have been insensitive towards my body image issues, and while he was away from me, he thought about everything and realized that his mother was indeed very rude to me. Hearing him say all those things was cathartic for me. That night, my husband came home with me. It's been 2 days since he came home with me, and things have been looking up for us. I'm really glad all of you urged me to speak with him. You all saved my marriage. Update 3. It's been 3 months since my last update, and I know I did not update you guys since then. Nothing of significance happened until 2 nights ago. Since my husband came home with me, he had lowered his contact with his mother. I had no idea about this. 2 nights ago, mother-in-law showed up at our place. My husband was running late because he was getting groceries, so it was just us. Mother-in-law was super angry with me. She blamed me for stealing her son from her. She refused to leave until her husband came, and when he did, she went off on him, asking him to file for divorce because he deserves more than a fat whale. I'm 135 pounds. I am in no way a whale. My husband this time around did not take what she had to say. He confronted her and told her to lay off it. He told her that she needs to respect his decision to be with me. If she cannot respect his decision, he would be forced to go no contact with her. Mother-in-law was not happy with that. She blamed me for brainwashing him against her, and he told her that this was on him and not me. This was his opinion, and I did not brainwash him at all. After mother-in-law left, my husband told me that he is planning on going no contact with mother-in-law until she respects him, and I'm free to block her for my mental peace. Having him stand up for me made me feel loved and heard. I have renewed hopes for our marriage now. Hey, OP, I would have reacted the same way you did. I can understand how hopeless you felt at the moment when you asked for separation. I am glad that you did not file for divorce, and since your husband had not made a move, I'm sure he has not either. This is a good sign. I think you should go to your mother-in-law's place and have a genuine conversation with him. If he does not respect your boundaries, or at least stop his mother from behaving that way with you, you should break it off, though. Best of luck. NTA for setting your boundaries. Your mother-in-law is very rude, and she had it coming. If your husband does not see it, or at least be empathetic towards you, cut him off. Have a chat with him, and if the 1 month apart has caused him to get a sense about how he should be behaving, if it's a yes, then go for it. Otherwise, separate. You deserve better. Next story. I live with 3 other people, and we all split the rent evenly on the 4-bedroom house. We live in an LCOL area, but pretty much of all of us are minimum wage earners, so we can't live by ourselves. My roommate, Trent, told us he was autistic when he moved in. We asked him if there was anything we should know about his condition to make sure he was okay, and he said pretty much not to engage with him unless he initiates it. He likes wearing his AirPods a lot, and when he is at home, he's glued to his phone or his pad with his buds in. If we have to talk with him about anything, we normally have to wait until he gets off his tech. So we normally just leave a note on the kitchen bench. Once we interrupted when we were ordering Uber Eats, and he seemed okay once he realized it was about takeout. He pays the rent on time and cleans up after himself, so it's no big deal. We all do our own thing. Anyways, he was walking slowly towards the door one day and was glued to his phone and had his AirPods in and just stopped in the middle of the doorway. I wanted to get by him because I needed to head to work, and I waited about 30 seconds with no sign he was moving. I put my hand on his forearm and said, "Hey, sorry, I need to get by." He turned around and looked at me and just blew up and went on like a minute about how dare I touch him. A lot of comments about me being overweight and that's why I couldn't get past him, and how I made him dirty by touching him. I just blinked and said, "Look, just get out of the doorway. I have to go to work." Anyway, I was really surprised about how angry he was, but a lot of his comments seemed to be about my being a big woman and someone like me shouldn't be touching someone like him. He moved and I got by and just got on with my day. So it seems he complained to my other roomies about it. One is saying AITA, I should have just waved my hand in front of the phone so he knew I was there. It didn't occur to me to do this, to be honest, but I don't think I'm an AH for not thinking of this. The other is saying Trent is being a bit precious about it all and probably wouldn't have been so snotty about it if I had been a Victoria's Secret model, lol. It's no big deal for me emotionally, it's going to blow over. But AITA for touching him to get him to move? Edit. Hey, a lot of people have made comments about fat phobia or misogyny and that I shouldn't allow people to treat me this way. I really can't control other people's thoughts or actions, only my own reaction. When I was walking to the bus and a carload of douches lean out the window and say, "Hey, fatty," there is nothing I can do at that moment to stop them from treating me that way. I can't stick duct tape over their mouths. I can't stop them from laughing and driving away. Sure, I can flip them off and yell back, but in my experience, this eggs them on and gets the reaction they wanted. Much laughter. Oh, so funny. Some of them are filming me as they do this, so I'm not giving them any material for their dumb TikTok videos. To say that I am allowing something is implying that I actually have control over other people's actions or behaviors. I don't. When I'm at work and someone says, "Hey girl, what's good to eat on the menu? I bet you've tried it all this morning." LOL, so funny. I can't say anything back without risking my job. You can say that it's a worker's market all you want. I ain't risking my job for a teachable moment that I can pretty much guarantee you won't work on a jackass who gets off insulting a big woman just trying to earn a living. I'm not internalizing any hatred. I don't think less of myself, and I don't judge myself by other people's standards. I accept what I cannot change, and I don't let it get me down. Accepting what I cannot change is not agreeing with it. I can't run out onto the streets and shout for the world to treat me better. It won't get me anywhere. If there was some way we could make others treat everyone decently, this world wouldn't be in the shape it's in, let alone the shape I'm in. NTA, and it's really crappy that you've normalized being disrespected in such a dehumanizing manner. Autism or not, he doesn't get free rein to demean people. Imagine if you had returned fire and spoken about his condition. Honestly, only one of your roommates is decent, and you should make it clear to them as well that it was offensive, the reasoning behind it, and that you expect an apology. NTA, I can see Trent's reaction. Unfortunately, autism is a big thing, and a lot of people with autism have an issue with cleanliness and unfortunately aren't good at regulating emotions. However, he was blocking a doorway and was being inconsiderate of others. You already apologized it. Leave it at that. Next time, probably wave at his face, but he'll probably be upset with that because it's still an invasion of personal space. I guess it'd be a case of compromising that he needs to be more aware of his surroundings and ask what would be the best way to get his attention in the future in this situation. If it's a common doorway, maybe have that discussion that if he doesn't want you touching him, then he needs to not stand in a doorway blocking other people from using it. As said, ask him what he would find the appropriate action to get his attention. If he's okay with you moving your hand in front of him, then is upset if you do that, you can be like, "Well, you said you were okay with that if I needed to get your attention." It's definitely not okay how he spoke to you, and I would set the boundary that he cannot talk to you that way. Personally, for me, that would be grounds for eviction, and I would tell him the consequence if it happens again. Autism, as many people had said, is not a get out of jail for free card, and he cannot talk to people that way consequence free. I would discuss that with the other two roommates. As far as I'm concerned, how he spoke to you is worse than you touching him, and he needs to learn if it happens again, it'll be grounds for eviction. But you need to have that conversation with the other two roommates to agree with the consequence if he talks to people like that. Stay tuned for more stories from Our Girl Relationships.